Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to episode 14 of A Voice from the Ever-Change. And yes, this is episode 14. I think yesterday I was confused if it was 14 or 13. I've double checked the files. This is absolutely episode 14 of A Voice from the Ever-Change. Here I will be talking a little bit more about resting in the present moment. I'll be talking about how that's done and outlining some of the many benefits of such a resting practice. Now, in the Tibetan traditions, it is thought that one can rest all the way to the pinnacle experience of nirvana. That, in fact, our true self is beautiful, is a self of loving kindness, a joyous self, an equanimous self, and a compassionate self. And that everything else that we experience or that we act out through is just learned behavior that's covering up that true self. And so it's thought in these traditions that when we really learn how to rest, we're dropping those learned behaviors. One by one, they fall away because we can't hold on to those learned behaviors and be at rest at the same time. So this episode will unfold much like the other episodes have. I'll ring the bell. I'll guide us into silence. I'll offer this poem that I composed and then a commentary on the poem. Now, if you're following along in the book, A Voice from the Ever-Change, my latest literary effort, this is poem number 2 from the resting chapter, which is chapter number 2. So if you are following along, if you're reading along, that's where we'll be starting from tonight. And then after the poem, after the commentary, I will most likely say a few words. I often do, but again, that's all improvised and it's optional. Yeah, we'll see if it happens. If it does, great. If it doesn't, that's also okay. And also, if there are any questions or comments that arise during the program, do send those over. I will be hosting a Q&A session every Sunday evening at this same time. A Sunday evening in Thailand at 7 p.m. here. It's 8 a.m. Right now. I guess it's Wednesday. 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning in the East Coast. Boy, you really do, one can really lose track of time in these quarantine situations, right? Okay. Without further ado, I will ring the bell. I'll guide us into silence, read the poem, read the commentary, and then maybe speak a little bit. Okay, enjoy. It's meditation time. Allowing the body, mind, and heart to rest. Allow yourself to come into this present moment experience. Noticing the breath entering and leaving the nose. There might be a cool or a dry sensation at the nostrils. Perhaps noticing the temperature slightly different in one nostril over the other, or perhaps breathing in more air through one nostril over the other. Noticing the breath as it touches the back of the throat. There might be a cool or a dry sensation there, or you might simply notice the temperature changing from cooler to warmer as you inhale and exhale. And allowing awareness to expand again to include the rib cage, expanding and contracting with each breath. There might be sensations of clothing moving to adjust with the rising and falling of the body. Noticing the shoulders rising and falling with each breath. You might also notice the abdomen rising as you breathe in and falling as you breathe out. Noticing the back moving out on the in-breath and in on the out-breath. You might also notice the body straightening up slightly on the in-breath and leaning forward slightly on the out-breath. And so we'll rest right there just for a few moments, maintaining even awareness on the sensations of the breathing process. Sensations arising from the nose, the back of the throat, the chest and shoulders and back and abdomen, and any other sensations that you might notice arising as a result of the breathing process. And just rest, breathing in and breathing out. And while maintaining awareness on the sensations of the breath, from the nose to the abdomen to the nose, allow awareness to expand again to include sensations of clothing against the arms, noticing the hands resting against the body or touching each other. There might also be sensations of clothing against the back, the weight of the body against the chair, cushion, mat, or floor. You might also notice sensations of clothing against the legs, noticing the feet against the mat or the floor. And while maintaining awareness on all of that, bringing attention to the top of the head, noticing any sensation arising from the crown of the head. There might also be sensations arising from the back of the head. Sensations arising from the back of the neck. Noticing any sensations arising from the ears. Allowing awareness to move into the cheeks of the face. Noticing sensations arising from the chin, the lips, the nose and the eyes. Sensations arising throughout the forehead. And bringing awareness back to the top of the head. And we'll rest right there just for a few moments, maintaining open, spacious awareness on the sensations of the breath, from the nose to the abdomen to the nose, and sensations arising throughout the body, from the top of the head to the bottoms of the feet. And just rest, breathing in and breathing out. And if at any time during the meditation you become distracted by your thoughts, you can simply label those thoughts thinking, which will allow the thoughts to go, and then gently return back to the present moment experience. And now resting with the experience of the breath, resting with the body, allow awareness to expand again, to include any sounds which might be available during this present moment experience. You don't need to focus on any one sound in particular, but rather noticing the entire field of sounds. Hearing all of the sounds all at the same time, as if you were listening to the universe orchestrate the soundtrack of the present moment. While resting with the sounds, also noticing the quality of empty, silent space. There's always this silent space within the sense of hearing. When you listen to the silence in that way, you might notice how that silent space seems to surround each sound. And so we'll rest right there, maintaining open, spacious awareness on the sensations of the breath, the body, silence and sound, and just rest. Right now, there's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to work towards. Just rest. And in the silence of meditation, I'll offer a poem. Allow the words to the poem to guide your awareness wherever it may want to go, as a way of deepening the guided meditation. Being in the present moment allows one to rest. Resting in the present moment allows one to be. From that place, look. Who is having this experience? Do you feel something? Well, that's just more experience. Do you see something? That too is just more experience. Who is having that experience? Being in the present moment, resting in the present moment. Look. Nothing more need be done. The commentary. So we rest, right here and now. In that resting state, allowing the breath to gently flow. Notice the present moment sensations of the breath. You might notice a dry or a cool sensation at the nostrils. Perhaps a damp or a moist sensation. You might simply notice the temperature changing from cooler to warmer as the breath gently flows in and out. Just rest. Regardless of the quality of the sensations which arise, just rest in that experience. You are now being completely in the present moment with the breathing experience. This allows one to rest. When we are fully at rest, we can completely be. There is no disturbance in this state because we cannot be disturbed and at rest at the same time. If we become disturbed, we may ask ourselves, can I rest with this? Or, what am I resisting right now? Or, is resistance necessary right now? This line of questioning will help reestablish the base of resting if we somehow become distracted or disturbed during the meditation practice. Completely and fully resting in this present moment. Look now. Who is having this experience of resting? Who is having the experience of this present moment? When we pose these questions, the mind will often spin in thoughts and answers. Of course, it is me, the mind might respond. Chris, the teacher, the traveler, the meditator, the poet. No, that's not it. These are just labels of experience and not who we really are. None of those answers will help us. In fact, all of that mental activity has taken us away from the resting state because the resting mind cannot be the thinking mind. Come back to the resting and pose the line of questioning again. This might happen over and over again, so be patient. With each repetition, we cut deeper into the weeds of concept and thought. This conceptual forest in our mind may very well be overgrown with thorny philosophies and brush-filled belief systems. We will need to hack and cut and slice our way through all of that, clearing the ground away. But what exactly are we clearing the ground for? Just keep coming back and resting. Rest in the looking. Look in the resting? Who is experiencing this? At some point, you may feel as if you found an answer. This might come in the form of a tension, a contraction, or a knot in the body. That's it. Now I see. Now I've got the point. A great wave of relief crashes into your being. Sorry to tell you, that isn't what you might think it is. That's just another experience. That is just another concept. Cut that thorny vine away too and come back to the resting. Who is resting? Who is looking? Who is it that is having this experience? When you keep practicing like this, perhaps you see a vision. You might see a series of lights or a multitude of colors. You might even see a multi-armed angel or a gorgeous, radiant goddess. Perhaps you are visited by a Buddha or by a Jesus. You might now think, well, now I have really arrived. I have been visited. I have had gorgeous visions of divinity. Well, I've got some good news for you. This too will pass. Do not worry. This will pass just like everything that arises passes. You know what these divine visions of God-like figures and angels are? More experience. Just another heavy, thick tree in the forest of concepts which you will need to be navigated and let go of. Chop this tree down with your cultivated attention and awareness and keep looking. Keep resting and keep looking. Keep looking while you rest. Keep resting while you look. Who experiences these visions? Who is it that experiences divinity? Keep looking. Keep resting. And that is all that needs to be done. Resting in this present moment experience. And as you rest, look at this experience of resting. And rest while you're looking. So I hope you all enjoyed my guided meditation, the poetry offering, and the commentary. I'll talk a little bit about the poem and the commentary there, because that might have gotten a little abstract. So what this, particularly the commentary, but the poem also is pointing at is a particular Tibetan meditation, where we allow the body to rest, we allow the mind to rest, and we allow the heart to rest. And in that complete resting state, we turn and look at the mind. And then we ask ourselves, what is that? What is this experience? And now, of course, whenever the human being is posed a question, generally what happens, not always, but probably 99% of the time, when we hear a question, we want to answer that question. That's our habit, right? So we ask that question, who is this? And the mind starts to spin with thoughts and with answers. But any answer you come up with is a verbal structure. It's a definition, it's a label, it's an experience. But who we truly are is beyond verbal structure. It's beyond any experience. It's beyond any definition. It's undefinable. It's, in some ways, it's unthinkable. Because anything you think about yourself sells yourself short. We're much larger than thought itself. We're much more radiant than any definition could ever describe. And when I started this video cast, I started by mentioning that according to the Tibetan traditions, and this is something I definitely agree with and have seen in my practice, the true self, and again, these are all just definitions, these are all just descriptions, but the abode or the home of the true self is loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. That's where our true self hangs out. Now, even that is just kind of pointing at the self. It's saying this is where the self lives. But to actually try to define the self, words never will ever capture it. And in the Zen tradition, they say all the words that are used to try to define the self, those are just fingers pointing at the moon, but they're not the moon. And so one of the great benefits of meditation practice, and particularly meditation practices designed to cultivate this type of resting, is we gradually drop away all of the conditioning which clouds the home, which clouds the loving kindness, which clouds the compassion, which clouds the joy, which clouds the equanimity. All of the thoughts that we habitually indulge in, that's all just clouds that are clouding those experiences. And so in meditation, we see the thoughts come up in our mind and we say thinking. We recognize, oh, I'm thinking. I don't need to do that. Those thoughts will go. We come back. There might be a moment or two of silence. And then there's probably another thought that comes up right after that. That's very normal. Oftentimes people think they're not meditating in the right way because they're having a lot of thoughts. It's absolutely normal for people to have a lot of thoughts during meditation. Now, with a consistent meditation practice, that does start to subside more or less. But particularly at the beginning and for many, many, many years into a meditation practice, it's quite common for meditators to experience a lot of thoughts. We just label that with the word thinking, that thought goes, and we can experience just maybe a second or two, a breath or two, or 5 or 10. It really doesn't matter how long that silent space lasts. But then another thought comes up after that. And we say thinking again, and that thought will dissolve. And that silence is there for a moment. Now, eventually we start to really recognize that silent space. And then when that happens, because that silent space feels good, it's really the only opportunity for our mind to rest. So it does feel good. We start to want to rest in that silent space. And so that starts to happen because each time we get distracted by a thought and we come back to the present moment, we're cultivating a higher awareness and attention It's like doing reps with the awareness and attention barbells. You say thinking, those thoughts go, you do another rep, like that. You rest there for a moment, then another thought comes up, you say thinking, that thought will dissolve, you've done another rep with the awareness barbell. Each time that happens, you're getting slightly stronger with awareness and attention. And with that heightened sense of awareness and attention, you start to be able to rest in the space in between the thoughts. And that's how the silence starts to emerge. See, that silence is always there in the mind. Just like there's always empty space and the objects within the room. There's always an emptiness and the material world. There's always silence in the sense of hearing and the sound. And in the mind, there's always that empty space and the thoughts at the same time. Now, most people don't notice that empty space because we're so hypnotized by the thoughts that we have. We're so entertained by our thinking process that we miss that silent space. So in meditation practice, we slowly start to gradually, slowly separate the thoughts so that that silence can emerge. And that feels really good because that silent space, that's the loving kindness, that's the compassion, that's the joy, that's the equanimity in that silence. And so we rest and we look at the mind. Then thoughts come up, we let those thoughts go, we come back to the resting and we look again. That's the process. That's the resting meditation. Now, if anybody's interested in a full guided meditation on resting, there's one available on my website for free. Almost everything on my website, everything except the 2 books that I've written are available for free on my website. And that's www.suchsweetthunder.org. I believe the resting guided meditation is on the Such Sweet Thunder page, the guided meditations page. If you can't find it there, it's on my YouTube channel as well, so it might be easier to locate there. Also, I did a resting practice for this Facebook Live last Saturday. So go back to last Saturday, I think that was April 4th, and you can check it out there too. It's a beautiful, wonderful practice. Now, if there are any questions or comments, again, please do send them over by messenger. I'll be doing a Q&A session on Sunday addressing all of the questions that I receive. If anybody would like a free PDF copy of my book so they can read along with these episodes, message me. I'm happy to send out free PDF copies to anybody who wants one. I didn't say anything about the situation, the world climate today. Maybe that's a relief to many. And sometimes silence is really the best thing. My heart, my prayers, the loving kindness in my heart goes out to all of those people who are suffering tonight with this COVID-19 experience. Even if you are just in any type of suffering, may you find your peace. May you find relief in this time of struggle. May you open to life just as it arises. May you be safe. May you all stay healthy. And so with that, I'll end this evening's episode, or morning or afternoon, wherever it is you're tuning in. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow with episode 15 of A Voice from the Ever Change. Thank you.